My Lords, I come away from each of the Noble Lords' responses sort of slightly more baffled and frustrated than I was before. Let's try and get it clear what I think he's saying. And this, in part, is my attempt to frame at least a model answer to the question raised by the Noble Lord, Lord Teverson. So at the moment, the Noble Lord would say that there are three sources of investment in principle in the railway. There is that which is put in by the private sector. That happens to be a nil set. I mean, the number is zero, but in principle it's there. There's that which is provided by the private sector for the purpose of leasing, of acquiring trains for the purpose of leasing them out, and that is unaffected by the bill. So that isn't going to change. Nor is there any suggestion, incidentally, though I may be wrong about this, of course, we wait to see, there any suggestion that is going to change as part of the Great British Rail Bill coming down the tracks. And then there is the part which is put in directly by the government, and that is negotiated currently by Network Rail in a series of 5-year control periods. And I forget where we are in the current control period, but we're sort of vaguely halfway through, I think, something, of a 5-year control period. So in the future, what is the Noble Lord holding out to us that is going to be different? The contribution from the train operating companies will continue to be zero because they are now going to be simply shell companies or part of that. So he's quite clear we're not losing anything nor are we gaining anything on that particular front. There will be no change to the way in which the Roscoes are set up for the purpose of leasing trains. So everything is thrown back on the comparison with the Network Rail negotiations in relation to the current control periods. Somehow, because that is Great British Rail, it is going to be transformed. We've just heard it's going to be longer term. So it won't be a 5-year control period, it's going to be a 10-year control period, a 15-year control period. It might be very desirable. But why? Why is the Treasury going to agree to a 10 or 15-year control period, or whatever the number is, beyond the 5 years that exists? And secondly, it's going to be, if not a larger sum, he didn't say a larger sum, but if not a larger sum, at least a more efficiently deployed sum, so that every pound will buy a little bit more than it would have bought under the current arrangements. But again, the question is, why? This is the sort of answer we get. It is all going to be absolutely wonderful. It'll be different and it'll be wonderful, but it's going to be the same, and I can't explain why. That's where we seem to be left the whole time. Anyway, my Lords, with that, I beg leave to withdraw my amendment.
Is it your Lordship's